don't think that there's going to be a recession in 2020. Yay, right? And here's why. The people who look at this, the professionals who have models and run those models, the Federal Reserve, are coming up with the likelihood of a recession as being 35%. So they're saying there's a 30% likelihood of a recession next year. Now, normally, under any circumstances, there's always a 10% probability of a recession. I don't care how good things are. But 10% to 37%, that's not more than 50%. When you go to, like, if you do go to a casino, what should you be playing? Does anybody know?
No, craps.
Blackjack, because that's where your best odds are. 37%, those aren't the best odds. That's not a lottery ticket that I would buy. 37% is not 51%. So until those models start saying 51%, I'm going to go with you're probably not going to have a recession in 2020. But is the environment more uncertain than it was last year? Do you have some things that are weighing on corporate America and making them respond in the following way? Let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see what's going to happen. Now, do you ever want to hear from anyone that you do business with, well, let's just wait and see, right? That's not the response you want to get. Not only are businesses doing it, but consumers are doing it as well. So you get this not absolute contraction in economic activity, but just a sliding sideways. It's unsettling for our financial markets, and you put that on top of the trade war. In the US, only about 6% of our GDP comes from exports. 6%, even if it goes to zero, even if that 6% of exports went away entirely in a single quarter, that's probably not enough to give you a long-range downturn. Just not enough. So the first global disturbance is Brexit. Now you could say we've been talking about Brexit since 2016, and that's absolutely true. We blew past the deadline in March for a solution. Theresa May, remember her? Remember Theresa May, right? Better hair than Boris Johnson. I'm just going to say it, right? So Theresa May blows past the deadline March of this past year, right? So we're coming up. There's no deal. New prime minister is elected. He's going to get this thing done no matter what. Parliament is due to be suspended on Monday. I never thought I would utter those words to an audience. But we're now living in a world where the prospect of a no-deal Brexit gets stronger and stronger and stronger by the day. Now, we get a reprieve here and there, but in terms of the unsettling effect that it's having on the global economy, Brexit is a reality that's making people sort of wait and see. Now, how did Brexit get to this point? How did it get to this point? I believe it got to this point because I do think that somehow the British people, when they voted to leave the European Union, I do think that somehow they thought they could retain pretty much all the benefits of staying in the Union, the relatively free movement of goods, the relatively free movement of capital, without the cost of being in the Union, which is adherence to certain rules that allow for that free movement of trade and free movement of capital, and the free movement of people, which I think is what a lot of this is about. And so I do feel as if in voting to leave, they thought they could keep all the benefits without the costs. Is anybody here married? Wouldn't you like to be married with all the benefits, none of the cost? Wouldn't that be nice? And I think sometimes if I gave my husband a choice between leaving and remaining, he might on any given day be tempted to check that leave box because he doesn't understand the fine print that comes with leaving. And I am afraid that it's possible that there was a leave vote with really very little understanding of the fine print of what all that would mean. Recessions today in countries like the US, Japan, and Germany are not the same as recessions 20 years ago and 30 years ago because we live in a country where populations have stabilized. If you want to sort of measure not just how the overall economy is doing, but really how your consumers are doing, which is ultimately all that matters, I think we're going to have to move to a situation where maybe we think about the fluctuations in the economy a little bit differently. The German economy can experience a technical recession, but because their workforce is shrinking, their population won't feel it. And I think that that's sort of the direction that the U.S. will be headed probably in the next 10 years.